Mais bonjour. Alors, il faut mettre les écouteurs. Je vais m'exprimer en français parce que je suis pour la diversité. Bonjour à tout le monde. Merci d'être là. Je voudrais vraiment remercier le peuple Maasai, les représentants du peuple Maasai qui sont ici, qui ont fait un long chemin pour nous informer de la situation en Tanzanie. J'en profite pour remercier Josiane Gauthier, qui est... alors, il ne faut pas que je me trompe, du CIDSE, qui veut dire coopération internationale pour le développement et la solidarité. Merci d'être là. Et puis, Monsieur de Schutter, on est toujours très content quand vous êtes au Parlement européen parce que vous êtes rapporteur spécial de l'ONU par rapport à la pauvreté. Et le sujet qui nous importe ici, c'est tout ce qui touche à l'expulsion des Maasai. Donc vraiment, je voudrais qu'on fasse un état des lieux de la situation, puisqu'on a été interpellé par rapport à l'expulsion du peuple Maasai dans les réserves, que ce soit du Ngorongoro et puis d'un autre lieu. Donc vous nous expliquerez ça, de Loliondo. J'en profite aussi pour remercier la présence des représentants de l'ambassade de Tanzanie qui sont ici présents. Merci d'être là, puisqu'il y aura un débat avec les différents interlocuteurs, mais ça sera, vous voyez, en deuxième partie. Et toutes les ONG qui nous ont interpellés, puisque ce n'est pas le premier débat qu'on a là-dessus, puisque j'avais rencontré l'ambassadeur de Tanzanie en présence de la Commission européenne. Et déjà, il y avait des remontées concernant les droits de l'homme, l'accaparement des terres et des dizaines de milliers de Maasai qui seraient menacés et qui auraient déjà été obligés de quitter leurs terres. Alors, moi, je me présente, je m'appelle Michèle Rivasi, je suis députée européenne, c'est mon 3e mandat, donc je connais bien les institutions européennes, et je suis référent des peuples autochtones au sein de la commission développement. Donc, j'ai fait plusieurs missions, que ce soit en Amazonie, que ce soit dans différents pays africains, et je suis très sensible sur le respect des droits des peuples autochtones. Et notamment la convention de l'OIT qui demande qu'il y ait un consentement libre, éclairé concernant votre situation et faire en sorte à ce que si on veut défendre, et vous savez que l'Europe veut défendre, je dirais d'un point de vue international, la biodiversité, les peuples autochtones sont les premiers qui défendent et qui entretiennent la biodiversité. Donc, pour nous, même si on a des réserves de faune sauvage, eh bien, il faut intégrer les peuples autochtones dans la gestion de la faune et non pas les exclure. Parce que c'est une vision, pour moi, alors je ne sais pas ce qu'en pense mon collègue de Schutter, mais qui est un peu obsolète. C'est-à-dire, vous voyez, c'est la vieille vision où il y avait les réserves, mais sans les humains, et puis on mettait les humains à côté. Nous, maintenant, on a changé un peu notre fusil d'épaule, si je peux m'exprimer comme ça, où il vaut mieux une intégration des peuples autochtones dans la gestion, justement, de ces espaces. Donc, l'objectif, ça sera de faire un état des lieux avec les différents protagonistes concernés, bien sûr avec les représentants Maasai, les ONG, Monsieur de Schutter, et puis on essaiera d'être constructif en essayant de voir quelles sont les pistes qu'on pourrait essayer de mettre en place pour qu'il y ait une meilleure entente et une meilleure coopération, surtout que la Commission européenne est directement impliquée par rapport à l'aide au développement qu'elle apporte en Tanzanie. Et je voudrais que ça se fasse en toute... comment dire, objectivité. Voilà. Alors mes collègues vont nous rejoindre puisque là vous voyez que ça a été un peu l'initiative du groupe Vert. Il y a mon collègue Gallet qui va arriver. Il y a ma collègue Pierrette Esberger Fofana qui va arriver aussi. Et une collègue de Renew qui est Madame Rodriguez Ramos. Donc, en premier lieu, je vais passer la parole, qui va nous faire un peu un état des lieux, à Madame Josette Gauthier. Et vous allez nous indiquer un peu quelle est la situation, qu'est-ce que vous en savez, qu'est-ce qui remonte, parce que j'entends tout et son contraire. Alors j'ai besoin de votre éclairage objectif sur la situation en Tanzanie. Merci d'être là en tout cas.
Merci beaucoup pour l'introduction et l'accueil. Je vais parler en anglais quand même parce que c'est comme ça que je me suis préparée. Mais la prochaine fois, j'aurai du plaisir à le dire en français. So please allow me to introduce myself. I'm Josiane Gauthier. I'm the Secretary General of CIDSE, as was said. It's an international network of Catholic social justice and global solidarity organizations promoting human rights and integral ecology. I really want to thank our friends here for their work, their passion, for their important visit, their courage and determination, also all the preparation for today, and for all of you for being here for this very special and unique moment of exchange. I'd like to share just a few words on the context of why we're here. My friends here are better positioned to speak about the facts on the ground, but maybe the context of why we are here today. Those of us who work on policy issues don't often get the opportunity to hear firsthand accounts of the effects, the risks, the outcome of some of what we discuss here in our offices on the lives, the impacts on the lives of real people, quite far away sometimes, in what can seem as very distant and disconnected worlds from our own. And today I offer my own voice to represent a broader civil society group of actors who are standing in partnership and in solidarity with the voices of the Maasai people who have come all this way and are speaking to as many European decision makers as possible about the reality of this impact of the so-called conservation policies on the pastoralist communities around the world, but more specifically in Tanzania. And though we're focusing in on one community's experience, as was said, this is unfortunately not an isolated case. This is about our collective interdependence on each other, of our shared responsibility for our earth, our land, our ecosystems, and all living and all organisms that we share our life with. Sadly, there's a systemic nature to this situation that is absolutely essential that we unpack and address. And we also recognize our own complicity and shared responsibility, because unfortunately we are part of this system. We have inherited beliefs and practices that have been transformed into policies, laws, political, economic, and cultural systems over time that value the life and well-being of certain people above others, of certain continents above others, that value wealth and material benefit over less tangible gifts. And if we have been guilty of anthropocentrism in the past, this is true, by neglecting and assaulting the biodiversity that we depend on, we've also been guilty of overlooking how certain communities may teach us about this biodiversity and harmonious coexistence. Love of land, the sacredness of living by its rhythms, all of these things are precious to us, and we can learn from them. The policies that have been put in place ostensibly to protect nature and wildlife are hurting the very people who live with and depend on this land, who understand the ecosystem and form an integral part of it. We know that these are false solutions because these communities being evicted from their lands and whose traditions and cultures are being erased would actually be the best positioned to defend it and protect our earth. We know this from multiple reports. Where you defend and protect the rights of indigenous communities, that is where biodiversity is safeguarded. But what we are seeing is the exact opposite, a model of conservation which opposes human life to animal rights and animal life and plant life, alienating them from one another, making them competitors in survival. This model is also economically fueled and being funded by our own countries, as well as the European Union. These policies reproduce the patterns and economic models of the system that exploits the land while pretending to protect it. I'm sorry to have to say it, but this is a colonial model, and we must outgrow this way of thinking. When there are economic advantages to violently seizing land from communities to turn them into conservation territories, when tourism is then being proposed, game hunting, carbon capture, while violating human rights, then we are not protecting the land from people. We are just removing the inhabitants and actors of the ecosystem to create an economic opportunity for other people. If this is not extractivism and colonialism, I don't know what is. Human rights are enshrined in international law. Free, prior, and informed consent is a basic fundamental principle for any action in a space where Indigenous communities are living from the land. But the respect, or indeed the adoption of laws, though important, is not enough. Laws are meaningless if we do not believe in them. We need to recognize that the system itself is unsustainable, unjust, violent, and taking us down a path of false solutions. We cannot protect by simply monetizing. We protect because we love, because we value, because we respect. And it begins with the way we treat each other. Because the way we treat life on this earth, human, animal, plant, oceans, forest, it's all interconnected. And we're being invited, even urged here today to listen and to think about the path we're on and change course, to choose a way forward that respects and honors the life of people and planet. And we're very grateful for this opportunity to share a powerful and precious moment of connection between all of us, for a true exchange of sharing of knowledge and expertise so that we can live up to our own potential as intelligent, caring, and responsible human beings and do better by one another. With this, I gladly leave the floor to listen to the very important voices of people who have witnessed and continue to face the impacts of choices and policies we're supporting somehow unknowingly sometimes here in Europe. Thank you.
Merci, Madame Gauthier. On va donner la parole justement au peuple autochtone. Voilà, je salue mon collègue Malte Gallet d'être là. Eh bien, alors, je crois que le premier, c'est Nengai Kiluzu Les Heures, c'est ça? C'est à vous.
Ngai na gola ngai na inyongora yo Yarwasna omena lengori gorongoro Miranya nige yogi ngosya sero sirigali Kira hindirengo wana igino yo Migi dungenda rosero ne migi ruhengo Sharingero sero amera landagin Heroro yo gira ori singarare Nedaga wenjumbi sabuna ihoringishu Nabiga simu miringishu nigara Oroshi yogir masa ingishu ginjiye Ninda isome shengara na inyanga ginyendagin Hiho sirgali simwanga ingurayo Sirgali ganyana na gol niremenye yo Ingeno sibirari ni bagini gyara Horalda moya ya himeru myalya ni laisho Kanisa migira mugulwe na maliolo sho Kigeno gindule na dumunyendu anashal Nairinga sarge narinde washawa nigini Tadamwela wasorwele musala iroriani Limwe ngudya neni rai nengo iroirengare Inyongurheyo mirura radamu yo Adogi lo sholya ulwenyire ngura yo Amunosyagi yagasina hamagwe sirigali Tenengera kashoga mero miro yango Ore sidano ni yara hengo begorongoro Yoga rahibong hilabe nyango Ningwara mba ilobe ndene mana Erangorogi yorangi mariana ngwesi Loliondo ngorogi rayan marabu yango
Merci. Merci pour nous mettre dans l'ambiance de votre peuple et les revendications que vous avez par l'intermédiaire de vos chants. On va passer la parole maintenant à Norki Chili Nakera Nyangisa. On va passer la parole.
Aitu oltumo le dunia pee kiponu aliki osina likiata. Amu ore osina sapuk likiata naa enkulukuoni etoorikoki yiok. Ore enkulukuoni pee eoruni yiok naa ilarikok oltung'ani pookin oota esimu sapuk olarikoni neoruni neyai aapuo aen aapik enkaji. Ore enkolong are nasuju neponunui ajoki irmaasai maape enkiguana pee kitumoki amu kidung'ito enkop. Ore ina dung'oto enkop nepuoi aang'or iltung'anak enaa ng'uesi. Dolta picha ajo etang'oroki yiok nedung'i enkop. Ore lelo tung'anak ootang'oroki nemetum sipitali tenkop ang' e Tanzania. Nikincho enashe ilalashera lang' le Kenya ninche oowaita lelo tung'anak la sipitali. Ore enkae nasuju naa pee egili nkajijik toorkiritani nishori nkishu minasa lowuarak neisik inkera nimin toontimi. Ore enkae nasuju, enkae nyamali naitoki asuju, neeku ore iltung'anak kuti ootung'uayioki amu isika iltung'anak aaku wakimbisi naishakino nepuoi aitoti te Kenya, nishori endaa, nishopokini nkilani amu eshomo iltung'anak meeta nkilani tenkaraki vita oljeshi. Nikinyamalu amu kitalaita nikinchiraki amu serkali ang' narita yiok. Nikiponu taa aishir tenakop alimu losina pookin enaa pee etoruoki yiok ina kulukuoni, enaa pee kinoto losina pookin oimayie yiok, nikijo kai kipuo aasaru. Ore kietuo aing'oru ina sarunoto, ekijo pee minyali yiok enkarna toolchoreta lang' enaa tooltung'anak lang' iltung'anak enaa yiok pee kira iltung'anak amu emanaa kejo entomononi narikito tenakata Tanzania ekira waharibu iltung'anak oinyal inkoitoi oong'uesi, ekira iltung'anak oinyal mazingira nemikiata ai dung'oti nabo nikiinyal. Nejo sii ekira iltung'anak oidurrudur, ekira iltung'anak oonang'aa iltung'anak lenye tiang'ata. Ore enkidurra naje kindurr naa ekijo pee kipuo, ore tenakata mazingira oshi pee kintobirr iyiok naa kijo matamany ele osho pee ore pee kidol ajo keyieu ninyala mazingira nikindurraki olikae osho. Ore entoki naiko yiok nijia naa ore oshi entoki nikiata naa nkishu naa kedaa tenkop. Neeku ore pee kinyal ina mazingira nikilau yiok endaa. Nekira irmaasai ilarripok lenkop amu ore enikinkunaki erripoto enkop kiata ilaiguanak, nikiata intomonok, nikiata irpayiani kituak. Naa kerishakino amu ore ang'ata nishori ilaiguanak metorripo pee eeku ninche ilaitashekinok linakop. Ore kiata entoki naji olokeri odaare nkishu tolari nedaare neeta enkata olameyu nikincho irpayiani kituak metorripo. Nikiata sii dii enkaina esirkali amu kiata isirkalini onkijijini naa keetai sininche iltung'anak oitasheki erripoto enkop pee minyali. Ore sii enakop kiti nikiata nikiboitare ng'uesi amu ore ng'uesi naa ilchoreta lang' onkishu ang'. Ore sii enkae ore tenakata ng'uesi tenikiturisho naa kenya nkurma nikituru, nenya nkishu nemikigira ake ainyal amu ekijito ake peetum olosho pookin dupoto. Neeku ore irmaasai enkop tenakata pookin natii eng'ues naa ilarripok loong'uesi naa ilarripok le mazingira amu ore tenakata peeoruni yiok Serengeti naa irmaasai apa ootorripo, ore peeoruni yiok Ngorongoro naa irmaasai ootorripo, ore piitokini aaponu Loliondo naa irmaasai ootorripo. Neeku ekira ilarripok lenkop mikiyiolo peejo iltung'anak lang' le Tanzania ekira ilainyialak lenkop. Neeku ore entoki nikidolta nekigira adolta ajo kegira aoru yiok esipata oltung'ani, neoru yiok enendaa amu ekira irmaasai, kerita yiok enaa irmaasai. Ore entoki naomonu tinewueji naa kaomonu ele tumo tenakata loonkuapi paa tenaa kentoki oshi nadoltae ajo mesipa nibauu naalo piiponunu aadol ajo esipata. Ore sii enkae naomonu paa iponunu aadol aapik imbarakinot impisai oshi ninchoruru amu kidolta yiok aajo ore kira irmaasai neme naaretieki yiok naaponunui aironyie neerieki aorunye enkop. Ore sii enkae toki naomonu emusho peishori iyiok nkishu metadaata peememuta amu ore peemuta nkishu amu meeta tanakata enedaare nemeeta enemanya iltung'anak nchoo ishori iyiok matipik imbarakinot ang' nishori iyiok mairrita nkishu ang' metadaata amu ore naake piiting' neeku esipata iting'o oltung'ani pookin tine amu mikintoki aata maendeleo amu enikiata nemikiata iltauja amu ninye endaa nikinyita. Najo ashe amu nikintabaiki orkiyo lang' peitoki irkulikae tung'anak aang'amu. Kajo ashe oleng' entang'amaki iyiok.
Merci de ce témoignage. Je vais passer la parole, après on en discutera un peu, à Joseph, puisque vous êtes dans les 3 activistes qui sont venus là, pour que vous nous expliquiez si vous avez des choses à rajouter sur ce qui a été dit. Donc c'est Joseph Mose Olesangé, qui est justement un activiste par rapport au soutien du peuple Maasai. À vous.
Okay, thank you very much, my privacy and all members of Parliament for European Union for having us here. It is really a privilege to get this opportunity to express our views on what's really happening. And so I'll be having some slides to take you to see what really happens. And before the slides, a very brief is, while this problem is being brought in conservation rhetoric, as my colleague said, is not really conservation, is business interests. So some people want the lands for many other interests. Then they fake conservation to justify with violence. And okay, you are seeing one of the photo actually in front of you. What are those people doing? In 2021, to be specific, the government, without any prior knowledge, wrote a public notice saying, we want to demolish 9 government primary schools. And they say, because they were built by the government without consent. 9 village offices, 6 out of 7 dispensaries. The letter was dated 12 April 2021. And of course, we lamented almost everywhere, saying this is not right. This is not conservation. It's an ugly thinking, will not help conservation at all. Then in 2022, of course, they never demolished any. In 2022, they wrote another. In April again, actually March 31st, saying all the money for health sector, for schools, for water, budgeted in 2020, 2021, all of it being taken away. In total is 1.4 million euro. And then you see our people like, oh, this is the end of the world. They never come and talk to them and talk to us. Next slide. So these people are actually praying is like this is the end of the world. This is one of the letter I translated. For all head teachers, go to another, is another letter again, dated 31st March last year. And after this letter, some people are saying okay, if these conservations, and of course they are saying this is a voluntary locations, why are you targeting social service? They responded on 28 May by the government spokesperson by the name of Gerson Msigwa. He says, our stakeholders have told us this is the only way you can take the Maasai, to paralyze social service. And then you have now the school without money, the dispensary without medicine. Or they say it's not enough. Because there is, and I'm referring to Ngorongoro Conservation Area, there is a hospital run by the Catholic Church. There is the medical flying doctors that has been operating in Maasai lands, of course in Tanzania, but particularly Maasai areas, since 1970s. They never stopped. They went to them. On April, they grounded medical flying doctors to ensure there is no alternative. And the report I have got, at least the last report by the medical flying doctors, is they received 140 calls, life-saving, like we need the plane, someone is dying. They never responded because they are not allowed to fly. They don't need any government coins. They just need permission to fly and rescue the life. Our kids depends on medical flying doctors for vaccinations. The assessment, 24,000 kids were not vaccinated who were depending only on them. There are kids born with the people with the HIV, for example, now being forced to use the ARVs for their life. Well, they can actually be rescued. Another slide, please, and I'll try to be quick. So that's one of the letter I was referring to. Actually, they said even the police stations built by the government deployed the police since 1970s. And they say they never had knowledge. Please go for the other. So the situation in Ngorongoro is really, really tough. Then, so the only option we have, and of course they say some people are relocating to 700 kilometers away to Msomera. But you listen to them, someone saying, I am leaving because I have lost a kid. I'm no longer prepared to lose another. Saying, we have lost a pregnant woman. And that's in public media. Okay? Then they say that is voluntary relocation, which we think that is never voluntary. Then we go, of course, but they always say they come with many theories to justify. They come in 17th century. They come in 18th century. And they think that's very far. In one occasion, they said they come in 1959. None of them is right. They're all fake. It's just a way to justify. Then I go to Loliondo. On 6 June last year, without our knowledge, they deployed the military. Then on 9, they arrested all the political village leaders for the wards where the disputed land is. And on 10, they started now putting the beacons to draw, like to mark the 1,500 square kilometer disputed. And our people are saying, no, this is our village. This is our land. They responded with live bullets. 41 people were wounded. And go to the next slide. 41 people were wounded. So you can see this was on 28 actually, June. They were told, we don't want to see you here tomorrow. Many people are living in that land, almost 30,000 people. They fled in one day. And of course, many of them already ran to Kenya because of the operation, the wounding, the shooting and others. Some of the guys arrested on 9, the political leaders I was referring to, were then come to accuse of being, to have killed a police officer who was, they said, died while they were in prison already. It's impossible to do that. So this is the people fleeing the area with the kids. No one is even taking care of them. Another. Okay, go to the other again, because actually they are similar. Okay, yeah, go to the other. Next again. Okay, you can see the women packing and things like that. You carry what you can easily carry. Yeah. That is the situation. Those are the kids. Actually, the picture taken in June last year. Next. Next again. Okay. This is one of the old guy, wounded, left helpless. And one person, 84 years old, was wounded on 10, arrested, never seen to death. And we filed a case in court. They never brought. There were many who were arrested on a day, never brought. What has happened with the old man? We don't know. Not this one, actually. We never filmed the picture of that man. Next again. So these were the people running on with the wounds and others. Next again. This the guy, for God's sake, has not died. That's the wound. Next again. That's the other guy. Again, with the bullets. Go to the other. It's another old man. People who cannot really fight. And this is not about conservation at all. It's some myopic thinking that has nothing to do with conservation. Next again. So, to leave actually, you can go to the last. So, violence has taken place. People wounded, not allowed. These guys, not allowed to be treated. They ran to Kenya to get treatment. So you can see Maasai in Kenya with the help of the Kenyan medical people. Ours never tried. They were saying, we don't see anyone in the hospitals. You need to go to the hospital. They will tell you, go to the police you are running against to take the cards to give you permission to be treated, which was not impossible. It was not possible by the times. So next again, sorry. So those are this, what was happening in Kenya. Okay, so maybe I can even stop the slide. But this is what was happening in June. Then after that, they came again. Now that place was declared this way by the military force to be a game control area. Is it lawful? No. Tanzanian law says you cannot establish game control within village land. Is it that a village land? Yes. Our former Prime Minister has written on 31st May 2013, telling the Ministry of Natural Resources, don't try that because that is a village land. It's impossible to do that. Then, seriously, it happens that in 2022 is no longer a village land, never registered anywhere. But they come and say, there was a Loliondo game control created in 1951 that continued until 2022. If that is the case, why are you creating one if it is already one? But again, if that is true, then they can arrest the district commissioner and the magistrate because they are in Loliondo as we speak. And that Loliondo has never been registered by any law. So the situation is really very serious. We don't get vaccine, we don't get the medicines and things like that. And to finish this, I will finish with maybe some questions, maybe to the Member of Parliament. That, for what you have heard, and Madam Rivas has said, you met with the commissions. And on one occasion, I attended actually in a virtual, Our first, and I think is sort of a demand or whatever, our request is, as my colleague has said, we are asking you to conduct an investigation to verify what you are saying, or what we are saying here. And whatever you find, at least because Tanzania is partnering with the European Union in a number of ways, we are also seeking that you find some way to engage our governments to stop auctioning our livestock. You lose one livestock, you pay almost €50 to take it back, your own property. The latest one, in April 29, someone paid 77 million Tanzanian shillings to get back his 444 livestock. That's poverty already. And in total, they have seized over 11,000 since November last year. So our other request is to the EU actors, that include maybe some member of parliaments, on the need to stop any fundings on fortress conservations. The conservation that only works when there are 4 elements. Expansions. How expansion appears? Militarily, violently. How do you justify that? Through propaganda. And exclude the people you think they are not deserving. In this particular case, the Maasai. And yesterday, only yesterday, they want to take Ngorongoro, and Loliondo now is gone. They want Lake Natron. Is putting the end of the Maasai. And we're requesting, don't support any systems that tend to suppress human rights, human life, that tends for progress to happen. I shall die for it to take place. That is not the conservation we need. If that's the only way it can go, let it end. So, I thank you very much.
Merci vraiment de ce témoignage. On reviendra sur vos propositions. J'ai envie avant de passer aux questions, de donner la parole à Olivier de Schutter, puisque vous avez été un peu interpellé par rapport à la défense des peuples autochtones. Mais je me réjouis qu'il y ait des représentants de l'ambassade, parce que là, ils vont nous répondre à ces questions. On verra, qu'est-ce que vous allez nous dire là-dessus. Parce que nous, on s'interroge. Pourquoi l'expulsion? Pourquoi ne pas trouver... Moi, je connais mieux le Kenya que la Tanzanie. Et au Kenya, il y a des réserves qui sont tenues par les Maasai. Moi, je suis allée visiter une réserve où il y avait les Maasai qui avaient leur bétail, etc. Et en même temps, ils nous faisaient visiter la réserve avec les animaux sauvages. Donc, il y avait un compromis qui a été trouvé. Bon. Alors, à vous, Monsieur Schutter. Monsieur Schutter est quelqu'un de très connu, qui est rapporteur spécial au niveau de l'ONU et qui a fait un travail très important sur l'agriculture, sur la pauvreté, sur la biodiversité. À vous, Monsieur Schutter. Et merci d'être là.
Merci, avec grand plaisir. Ravi de pouvoir être ici en personne. La dernière fois que nous étions ensemble, Madame Rivasi, c'était à la télévision et par Zoom interposé. Donc merci de cette opportunité d'intervenir ici en votre présence et en présence des communautés Maasai et de leurs représentants. Je vais me permettre de poursuivre en anglais en vous remerciant de bien vouloir m'en excuser, mais comme Josiane, j'ai des notes qui sont en anglais et ça me facilitera les choses. I would like to proceed in 2 steps. First, I would like to briefly recall what international human rights law has to say on the topics that bring us together this afternoon. And then I will relate the state of international law to the role of special rapporteurs of the Human Rights Council, to what we have done until now on this issue, and to what I hope, with the support of the government of Tanzania, we can do in the future. First of all, what does international human rights law has to say on this issue? The topic of land and its implications for a range of human rights is a topic that has grown in visibility and importance over the past 10, 12 years. In 2012, the Committee on World Food Security, which is an intergovernmental committee of the FAO with a very broad and inclusive membership, adopted after a number of years of negotiations the voluntary guidelines on responsible governance of tenure of land, fisheries and forests in the context of national food security. More recently, the Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, which is a body of 18 independent experts supervising the covenant, the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, adopted a general comment number 26 on land and the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights in order to assess the relationship between the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights and access to land and control of land. In addition, we have the instruments that Michel Rivasi has already referred to that are specific to the rights of indigenous peoples. Michel Rivasi mentioned the Indigenous and Tribal Peoples Convention of the ILO, adopted in 1989. We also have, of course, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, adopted by the UN General Assembly in Resolution 61/295 of 2007, which is considered to be a codification of international customary law. Now, there are three major lessons from these various instruments that I've referred to. The first is that the protection of the right to land is not limited to those who have a formal title that defines them as legal owners of the land which they use. Customary forms of tenure that can be collective, that need not be recognized in a legal deed, must be protected under human rights law. The second lesson, which is the implication of the first, is that the land users who occupy land necessary for their livelihoods deserve protection. And in fact, when the Committee on World Food Security negotiated between 2009 and 2012 what became the voluntary guidelines on responsible governance of tenure of land, fisheries and forests, it made up a new term, legitimate tenure rights holders, to describe or to clarify the fact that legitimate tenure rights holders include not only those with formal land titles, but also those with customary, collective, or traditional tenure rights that might not be recognized by law. And this is, I just quoted from footnote 31 of the General Comment number 26 of the Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. The third lesson from these instruments is that free, prior and informed consent for any decision affecting access to land is required where indigenous peoples rely on land to satisfy their needs. And in fact, the Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights defines as one example of a violation by a state of its obligation to respect the right to land, and I quote, interfering with land users' legitimate tenure rights, in particular by evicting occupants from land on which they depend for their livelihoods. And the reason why the Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights arrives at this conclusion is because, and I quote again from the General Comment, secure and equitable access to, use of and control over land can have direct and indirect implications for the enjoyment of a range of rights enshrined in the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. This includes the right to food, to water, to housing, to health. The right also, says the committee, to take part in cultural life, owing to the particular spiritual or religious significance of land for many communities, and the right to self-determination for indigenous peoples. And the committee refers here to Articles 10 and 26 of the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. I could quote at length from these various instruments, but the point is very simple. It is that indigenous peoples such as the Maasai, who depend on access to land for their livelihoods, are protected under human rights law. And they cannot be displaced, evicted, resettled without their free, prior, and informed consent. Now, this may be putting the bar very high. It means that even if you provide them with very nice villages with running water and solid concrete houses in other places, they may still refuse. It is their right not to consent to whatever advantages are proposed to them in the context of a plan for resettlement where the land is assigned to other users. So yes, the special rapporteurs of the Human Rights Council are concerned. And we sent to Tanzania, as you may recall, an allegation letter on 9th of February 2022, more than a year ago. This followed 6 earlier allegation letters concerning similar instances since 2013. So in total, this is 7 allegation letters that were sent to Tanzania about these evictions taking place in the Ngorongoro Conservation Areas. According to the information we had received, some 82,000 people by 2027 may be subject to evictions and forced resettlements. So in this allegation letter, we describe the information we received, and we requested the government of Tanzania to answer a number of questions, and we did receive the answer of the government that basically put forward, in a very brief answer, about 2 pages long, 2 responses. First, that it had established the Ngorongoro Pastoral Council, the NPC, as a consultative body since 2000. And secondly, that since 1959, when initially the Ngorongoro conservation areas were established, and when there were 8,000 residents, the population there has grown to what is now 110,000 residents with much more livestock, and that as a result, relocation to the Tanga region was inevitable. And the response to our allegation letter described 101 3-bedroom houses accompanied with schools, health centers, and water systems to resettle those that have been displaced. Now, special rapporteurs are limited in what they can do. We would like to go to Tanzania to look at what happened, to speak to people. We can only do this at the invitation of the government. And we can only do this if we are guaranteed the right to speak to people concerned without interference, in complete confidentiality, to protect the people from the risk of retaliation, reprisal, harassment. I am willing to go to Tanzania if invited by the government. I would be extremely interested in looking at these resettlement programs, and I'm sure that my colleague Francesco Cali, Special Rapporteur on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, would be willing to go too. But without being able to go there to assess the situation on the ground, it is difficult for us to go beyond the allegation letters we have sent, and to which, and I would like to thank you for this, the government of Tanzania responded. I would like to suspend here. I look forward to your questions. Thank you for inviting me.
Merci de ces informations. Je pense que c'est important pour les représentants du peuple Maasai d'entendre que les Nations Unies ont fait une intervention au niveau du gouvernement. Il y a cet appel d'intervenir. Nous, vous savez qu'on va venir au mois de juillet, la première semaine de juillet. Donc, c'est exactement la même demande qu'Olivier de Schutter, c'est-à-dire qu'il faut qu'on ait d'une part, que vous le sachiez, parce qu'on est transparent au niveau du Parlement européen, et qu'en même temps, on ait toute possibilité d'aller voir les parcs, de discuter avec la population en toute indépendance. Alors, j'avais envie de vous donner la parole, puisque là, vous avez, il y a beaucoup de questions qui ont été posées. Qu'est-ce que vous répondez à les observations, les remarques, le fait que j'ai appris, moi d'ailleurs, qu'il y avait un conseil consultatif qui a été mis en place en 2020. Est-ce qu'il a été utilisé pour informer les populations, puisque là, le droit à la terre est un droit inhérent aux droits de l'homme. Voilà. Donc, on vous écoute. Et puis ensuite, je ferai intervenir mes collègues, que ça soit très court, mais et puis après, il y aura les questions. Mais allez-y, vous avez la parole, parce qu'ici, au Parlement, tous les gens peuvent s'exprimer et répondre aux questions. Je vous écoute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Rivas, for giving us the opportunity. This is the second time we are meeting, speaking on the same issue. Last time we met in September. First of all, I want to reaffirm the good and excellent relations that Tanzania has with the European Union. Our bilateral relations is based on principles. The principles of respect from each other, the respect of sovereignty, the principle of mutual understanding on a number of issues that we need to understand from each other, the principle of acknowledging our differences in terms of history, culture, and traditions, but also acknowledging our common shared objectives, the goals, and actions. So, Madam Chair, having been listening so tentatively and having heard what has been said, I think there are some issues that need to be clarified. Now, one of the issues that I want to put before you for clarification is the issue that you have mentioned several times about indigenous community in ancestral land. I want to inform you that Tanzania's land tenure system, we have three categories of land. We have a land which is for conservation, we have a land which is for general public, and we have a land which is for villages. We don't have a land for indigenous or native land or what is called ancestral land. In Tanzania, Madam Chair, we do recognize everyone. You know, we have more than 126 ethnic groups. We are always cherished by the peace and the harmony in the country, and that has a reason. With 126 ethnic groups, if you decide now to put one category of a group, say this is a special tribes, then we'll all run up to the tribe issues, which is happening in some of our neighboring countries. So in Tanzania, every person, every tribe is treated equally and have all the rights. I personally am from the Nilotics. We belong to the same group from the Maasais. We speak the same words. If I ask Maasai to say, how to say Ario, two, to mean two, they say the same. Four to mean Angwen, to mean four, they say the same. But we are all treated equally and we have all the rights. So out of the world has about 200 countries, but only 90 countries up to now have subscribed to the issue of indigenous. Tanzania is not part of, we are not subscribing to the question of indigenous. we don't have indigenous. The Maasai's people, they don't have a land special just for Maasai's. And if you call back from the history, which I don't want to go back there, you will find that Maasai's came later. There are some cultures and the tribes like the Bantus, the Kushanites. They came Tanzania earlier, and the Maasai came later, almost 3,000 after this. We migrated to Tanzania almost 18 centuries. But there are tribes which were in Tanzania before that time. So that concept of saying this is indigenous is not. The Maasai's, they are spread all over in Tanzania. They are inhabitants in 14 regions, not only in Arusha. So there is no issue of saying this is indigenous land, this is a special land for Maasai's. But there is also issue about Loliondo and Ngorongoro, which I've seen is mixed up. Let me start with the issue of Loliondo. It has a long history, and I don't want to go into details of that history. It started from the German colonial system, then British colonial system. They saw that Loliondo is a special area for conservations because it has 4 unique elements. One, this is the special calving sites of all animals that you know about from Serengeti, Ngorongoro, and even Masai Mara. They go there in Loliondo. It's where they put their babies. They get their birth. In that particular, we have to respect the nature. But this is the only water resource area which links both parks from Serengeti to Ngorongoro and the Masai Mara. This is the only feeding area. But this is the package. It is the corridor. You have heard about the Great Migrations. This is the passage where they pass. So Germans and the British colonial system, they saw this should be restricted area for those purposes. But when we got independence in 1961, to Tanzania, people is the center of everything. We put people at the center, at the top of everything. If it's about conservation, then people first. This has been our policy since independence up to now. So because that place had 4,000 kilometer squares, and because government, when we got independence, that place was completely empty, the government did a very decisive decision. We took 2,500 kilometer squares out of that 4,000, and we gave it to the people, most of them Maasai's community. They are staying there peacefully. The only place that has remained in Loliondo is only 1,500 kilometer squares. And it is necessary because no way you can pass through the same lion and use the same path. No way you can feed with lions on the same grass. So this is something natural. You cannot go without it. This is what happened. So in 2022, we did. Before that, we had a number of consultations. Several consultations took place from 2017, before the demarcations. And they are saying, and very fortunately, they are saying there is no consultations. Madam Chair, you see these. How these are signatures, a number of consultations, and these are signatures of the Maasai's, and there are 4 numbers. They are here. All these are number of consultations that took place from 2017 till today. Several consultations. And then we agreed that they are going to leave, and we put the demarcation of the Loliondo area. So no one has been staying in that area of 1,500. It has never been inhabited. So it is a free area that has been. So I was wondering when they say want to go back. You go back where? You have never stayed in that area. And those 9 villages were formed out of those area. And I just want to tell you, that area special 2,000 is bigger. It's almost like the whole Luxembourg. that area that the government has sacrificed, it's like the old country of Luxembourg. It's like you take 4 Singapores, 4 times, 4 Singapores. That's the area that the Maasai are staying. 2,005 kilometers. And now let's talk about the issue of Ngorongoro. You know, it is true that when Ngorongoro Conservation Area was established in 1959, it was a multiple land use area that animal, wildlife and the human life could stay together. They could stay in harmony. That was in 1959. By that particular time, the Maasais were only 8,000 in the whole Ngorongoro. Today, Maasais are more than 100,000. They are more than 120,000. By that time, their cattle and livestock were only 2,000, 3,000. Today, they have more than 1 million cattle and livestock. But you know, what's the problem there? That is a controlled area. It's a game area controlled by the law. So these Maasai staying there, they cannot cultivate, they cannot grow anything. They don't have any rights of doing anything in that game reserve. And there are so much things that forced the government to see possibility of asking voluntary eviction. Yes, there are two for some few reasons. One is the life of Maasais are in a big risk when they stay in Ngorongoro. Because of their population growth, they are now contacting animals everywhere. We did a test. We took one lion, and that lion was fitted with a device which is called VHHV in its color to see to monitor what activities that lion takes in a day. In that particular day, one just day alone, that particular lion was recorded killing 3 people, 3 children in a single day. And their names are there. If you want their names, we can share with you. Their picture, only in a single day. And these incidences of Maasais being killed by lions is so hard. The government cannot keep silence when its people are dying because we take care of the Maasai, want to preserve their life. There is issue here of problem of food. Maasais, they don't have food because they cannot grow anything in that area. So every year, the government has to supply them food. Every year, the government has to supply food. Sometimes it's cost about 9 billion shillings, Tanzania shillings, to provide with them food every year. We cannot just leave our people dying because we want to conserve area. We have to do the action. There is a problem of disease. You know, because they are getting contact with some animals. There are diseases that are transferred from animals to human. One of them is trachoma. Give blindness. Many of Maasais have that problem of blindness. And the government is using a lot of vaccinations, special vaccination for Maasais. We have to protect them. There is a big problem on the issue of social services. They are growing, they have their children, they need hospitals. That area cannot allow expansion of those social services. So from there, government sat together with Maasais to see where should we do. And the consultations was done. All these are, if you want to see their signatures and their telephone, call anyone. They will tell you this particular day we had a consultation with the government and they agreed. And they went to Musomera. So this is the situation. About consultations, about the engagement, we are very open, transparent. If you want to come, we have spoken with the UN rapporteur on special people. We did that UN meetings. I think that was on 8th July. No, yes, on 8th July 2022, we had a video conference with the UN rapporteurs for indigenous people. And that office was welcomed. But I think because they've seen that there is no anything substantive, they have not come. But the invitation is open. We had a special commission from the African Union in Addis Ababa, which came also to investigate the matter. They came, they stayed, they spoke with Maasais. Look at their statements. They've written, just Google African Union, a special commission of which visited Maasais. They've said they acknowledge how government has been doing all necessary efforts to protect the Maasais. We are open. We have spoken with your ambassadors, all the European ambassadors in Tanzania, and we are open to you if anyone wants to go. In fact, Madam Rivers, that issue in Tanzania is closed. No one is talking about this. These people have gone to Msomera. They are happy because from Msomera, they are getting modern house, three rooms with the title deeds, house with the 3 acres, agriculture land of about 5 acres. They have a limited grazing area, which is given with all facilities. So we are open and we are ready, but be careful. These Maasais, they keep twisting words. You know, I was reading, Madam, I was reading one of their concern. They say they don't want to claim an indigenous claim. But when they come here, they claim that they're indigenous. When they go to Tanzania, they say, we know we are not indigenous, because they know that aspect and the issue of the indigenous is if they speak the issue of indigenous today, among other Maasais, they will be killed, because Maasais are all over. They are in 14 regionals. So if you want to say you want all Maasais to go to Arusha, that place is not now. Thank you. We are ready to keep consulting and we are ready.
Je vais leur donner. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Merci pour toutes ces informations. Bon, mais il ne faut pas monopoliser la parole. Donc, je vais laisser 2 minutes à mes collègues s'ils ont des questions à poser. Alors, Pierre.
Bon, alors, tout d'abord, je vous remercie. Je suis désolée, mais j'avais une autre réunion, donc je ne pouvais pas venir. Et donc, moi aussi, je me suis donc intéressée à la question des Maasai. Et je les ai rencontrés, nous les avons rencontrés le mois dernier au Kenya. Et dans toutes ces, que ce soit au Kenya ou en Tanzanie, le problème restait le même. Ils trouvent qu'ils ont été délocalisés. Et si je pense à toute la construction des parcs nationaux qui sont faits actuellement, uniquement pour délocaliser des personnes qui donc avaient ces terres-là, je connais le système coutumier aussi. En général, la terre, elle appartient à l'endroit où les ancêtres sont enterrés. Au moins là-dessus, on est d'accord. Donc, si les Maasai revendiquent une partie pour eux, moi je me pose la question, pourquoi, d'après ce que vous avez dit, mais Excellence, vous avez cru, enfin, j'ai cru comprendre qu'ils n'avaient pas le droit de réclamer une terre pour eux, car ce système-là n'existe pas. Alors moi je vous pose la question, pourquoi ce système n'existe pas depuis quand il n'existe pas? Depuis l'indépendance, c'est-à-dire depuis 1961. Est-ce que vous avez décrété que ce système n'existe plus? Ou bien c'est un système qui, selon vous, n'a jamais existé? Cela me surprend un peu, parce que je connais aussi l'Afrique. Hein, j'y suis née et j'ai grandi. Donc, je connais très très bien, et je ne suis pas venue en tant qu'enfant, je suis venue en tant qu'adulte. Donc, je sais que la terre, elle appartient à tout le monde, elle appartient aux ancêtres. Et si un groupe revendique, pourquoi à ce moment-là ne pas se mettre à la table et discuter avec ce groupe-là qui apparemment trouve qu'on viole leurs droits, on viole leur dignité, on leur prend leurs terres pour faire des parcs nationaux, des grands parcs nationaux qui malheureusement sont financés par l'Union européenne, par les pays européens, pour le plaisir de quelques touristes. Hein? Enfin, quand on voit ça de l'extérieur, et c'est pour ça que je me réjouis de pouvoir aller en Tanzanie, le mois prochain, et puisque vous dites que nous aurons la possibilité d'y aller et de voir, donc on va voir. Et alors, pourquoi vous refusez, enfin, on a comme l'impression que vous refusez de reconnaître leur statut? Ce n'est pas parce que des Maasai se trouvent dans 14 régions, ou bien dans plusieurs pays, effectivement, ils sont dans plusieurs pays de l'Afrique de l'Est, mais ils ont aussi le droit de dire « nous sommes un peuple autochtone, cette terre-là nous appartient et nous ne voulons pas perdre nos terres ». Pourquoi ce refus, en fait? L'impression que j'ai, que c'est un refus, vous refusez de leur accorder ce titre-là qu'ils revendiquent, puisqu'ils le revendiquent. Qu'est-ce que ça peut vous faire s'ils le revendiquent? Et vous avez dit tout à l'heure, si je vous ai bien écrit, vous avez dit, oui, nous avons un conseil consultatif depuis 2000. Mais l'histoire des Maasai, c'est pas depuis 2000. Hein? Depuis 2000, le conseil consultatif, peut-être qu'il le gère maintenant. Et ce n'est pas parce que vous avez changé que vous leur avez offert la possibilité de boire, de manger, de mettre des plans de réinstallation, des hôpitaux, qu'ils ont l'impression que leurs terres ont été prises, en d'autres termes. Et comment maintenant rendre peut-être leur dignité, leur rendre leurs terres, les laisser là, dans ces pâturages. Voilà, c'était ma question, ma première question. C'est pas la peine que je parle suite, parce que j'avais préparé.
D'accord. Bon, et Malte, vas-y.
Habari, shikamoni. Mimi ninaitwa Malte na niliishi Dar es Salaam kwa mwaka moja. Ni kwa nini sijui kuongea Kiswahili kabisa? Kwa sababu watu wengi wanaongea Kiingereza. Ni kwa nini now I go back to English.
Das war's.
Good to see you again. Asante sana. I'm really happy to also meet you here, that you also participate, and that we basically get to the discussion. And I was happy to hear from you that, of course, we have principles of mutual respect and of accepting the mutual sovereignty. But I think we also have the principles of telling each other when something goes really wrong. And if we see the pictures they showed us, how people got chased away, and how there was violence, how there's police violence, I think this is no peace and harmony in the country, as you said it. This hurts. This violates the human rights, and no question whether indigenous or not. If people are chased away from their home with gun violence, then something goes wrong. And so this is why I would really appreciate to have the formal invitation, just as Monsieur de Schutter said it, like what we would need, the formal invitation to really go there and meet the people and talk to them and really do an independent investigation. Will you be willing to make this happen? Unfortunately, I won't have time to join, but I will come to Tanzania at another possibility. I will let you know before. Thank you.
Alors, je vous propose de répondre au niveau de nos collègues Maasai et ensuite à vous par rapport aux questions qu'a posées Madame Fofana ainsi que Malte sur l'investigation indépendante. Vous avez des remarques à faire par rapport à ce qui a été dit? C'est l'occasion, un peu l'occasion où on se rencontre tous. Donc c'est important à ce que là il y a un échange. Vous avez un peu des représentants du gouvernement tanzanien, donc c'est important que vous puissiez le... Oui. Allez-y.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate again, and I think I will have a quick response to what the ambassador said. I think it's a number of things he has said, he started with the concept of indigenous people. And I think because many people here understand, it has nothing to do, and particularly African Commission, because it says African Commission visited Tanzania, which was true. African Commissions, in the case of NROIS, has defined what is indigenous people. And in that case, they said Maasai, Barbaik, of which actually the ambassador is signifying that he belongs, are indigenous people. They said it has to do with the use of the resources, the land, spirituality, the culture, the economy, collective rights of the community. The Maasai use land that way. They have lands. They know. There are places known as Oldonyo Lengai. You might know. You can Google. It's the mountain of God. It's where the Maasai do their prayers. And they want to make it a conservation area so that we cannot pray. And I think one thing is, whether they're indigenous or not, you cannot use gun to displace them. That is very, very wrong. And again, they say, and they always say, and I said actually, because I knew they would come and say, they come in 17th century, last year in the Royal Tour. Then the ambassador told you in the meeting that I attended, they come in 1830. And then we filed a case in court, and they responded, they come in 1959. Ambassador is saying, no one was living in Loliondo. It's a terra nullius. It's a colonial concept. When they were taking Australia, they said it's the land of no one, because the people who are living there are not human beings. He was referring to the colonial governments. The British colonial governments, when they were taking people out of Serengeti, they wrote a certain agreements. In that agreement, and I will wish to share, some people were living in Loliondo. The place they're saying is the terra nullius. Is a very, very wrong. Let us assume they were not there. Again, you should not use gun. Okay? Then they say we have over 120 ethnic tribes, which is a fact. But not one is targeted the way they are targeting the Maasai. And I can give a testimony. And they know. Last year alone, in this propaganda, because I said for conservation to operate in this neo-colonial, propaganda is part of it. Part of the government-sponsored media said, we want to help the Maasai, humanitarian things, eh? And they said, they do not bury dead bodies. If one of them is very sick, they take them to the forest and tie with the goats, actually the sheep, so that the animal will come and kill the sick person. So they say the only way we can rescue them is to take them out. Ambassador said 4 kids were killed. That is a fact. What we never knew, that they had the collar put by the government. 4 kids, actually 3. There were 4. 3 of them were killed. 1 was wounded. Then they come with a now to justify the only way to save over 90,000 people, because 3 has been killed, is to take them all out. Last year, and we have written a report and submitted to the Prime Minister. In the neighboring, because actually we argued that case because they always say, we argued that in the neighboring district of Karatu, a hyena in one killed 28 people. They never said we should take people out of Karatu. But for the 3, we should take the entire community. The way to justify. Again, they say the Maasai come later. Okay? Out of 120 ethnicity, the Maasai, and actually our president uses in the royal tour, these are newest arrivals. And the Minister of Constitution said, he was talking to DW, they come from the ancestral lands. Actually, they were arguing, like, why are you taking them out? They say the ancestral land. They don't have ancestral land here. They have it in Sudan. Do we? No. This is the only place we know. That's the way to justify the recent people. Is that the case? There is a very good literature about the Maasai, the Rebmans, and many other scientists, actually the explorers before the colonial time. They said, and actually one person by the name of Fala, in 18th century, prepared the map of the Maasai land. He described it as a Maasai land in 18th century. From Kenya to Dodoma, now Maasai occupy less than 30% of what they occupied in 18th century. They are growing, yes, like any other. They are losing the land. He given an example of the Luxembourg, saying the land remaining with the Maasai is bigger than the Luxembourg. Ambassador, Serengeti plus Ngorongoro plus the place they are taking in Loliondo, we're in Belgium, is bigger than Belgium. So we have the fact here. Belgium is 30,000 square kilometers. They are taking almost 31. And say they are losing nothing because they have the size of the Luxembourg. That is very, very serious to say. We are losing so much. And we are saying, if this is the only way conservation works, let that conservation die. That does not have regard to human rights. Again, Ambassador says of the Loliondo, and he's saying four things, very important. He says, one, that's the calving for the wildebeest migrations. There is something you need all to, very important to understand. When the GNU moves from one place to the other, there is a migration from Masai Mara, Serengeti, Ngorongoro. Then, in every December, when they come to the Ngorongoro plains, they transmit malignant cattle fever, which is very, very fatal for our livestock. So the Maasai have a natural mechanism of dealing with. They move to the highlands, which they will not go. Then they come back in April, when whether there is wildebeest or no, malignant is over. You don't have to take guns to allow the wildebeest to look at the calving, because the Maasai will not bring their livestock to die. Again, is that the only place that they calve? No. The entire Serengeti in December, actually from November, there will be almost over 4 million wildebeest calving throughout to my own village in Endulen, actually where the plain starts. Actually, like 2 kilometers away from where I live. We never take the cows to those places again. So we live with the small stock until the malignant is over. So why do you gun the people for the calving, which they will never be there? Why? They want the place for hunting. So displace the Maasai, place with the Dubai royal family to hunt. So you kill the same animals you purport to protect. And they say, we are protecting water catchments. Very interesting, yes. Not a single, actually there is one river known as Pololet, which they call actually the game control. Not a single river is flowing from Loliondo to Ngorongoro. Neither to Masai Mara, and I'm not sure if they know, but I know because where I belong. So, do you have to expel people 90 kilometers away to protect the river? No. That's the way they try to justify. It's never real. I will give my colleagues, but I want to. So it's not a corridor, it's our home. We have been, and actually he says, you cannot live with the lions. We have over, they say, over 100, actually he says 120. Actually it's not true, Ambassador, because last year there was a national census. They, Maasai in Ngorongoro, are not 120. Anyone can read the report because it is out. But anyway, those people are living in Ngorongoro where there are elephants, there are rhinos, there are any kind of animals. So you cannot say because there are lions, then we expel almost everyone. Is there consultation? I repeat, not one. The day they come, they arrested everyone. I will be interested to see the signature really, because it's never real. And the remaining land, okay. Then they come to Ngorongoro, the last one I want to, for 2 minutes. They say the cattle are 1 million, the ambassador said. Last year, we presented our report to the Prime Minister on our own initiatives. The livestock number in 2018, we compared with the data in 1957. There is only a difference of 3 cows, 3, in a span of 62 years. So, is that 3 the significance? They come and take them, 3. Then, they said about the food insecurity, the humanitarian things and like that. They say we spend over 1 billion, almost 1 billion to feed the people. In Ngorongoro, they get from the tourism industry, 52% of the tourism proceeds is coming from Ngorongoro, and they're so unhappy that the Maasai get 1 billion. Out of 52% of the proceeds they get from the tourism industry. And what are the solutions? Because he says, we want the kids to go to schools. We want them to get good hospitals by paralyzing the existing one. Is that the solutions? How do you cure the disease? Because he said there are many diseases, because there are contact with the animals. I think the immediate things you could have done is allowing and adding the functional social service. You cannot deny the written letters. They have not budgeted a coin for 2 years. And some independent actors, even some trying to bring matches for the ladies in secondary schools. They diverted the money outside. And I want to give my colleague with one thing. And I think the special rapporteur said about relocation. And one thing is, it is me who decide what I want. In Msomera, because we're referring here to Loliondo Ngorongoro, in Msomera, they surrounded the village again with the military and taken the land and now divide for propaganda that this is the land we are giving them. How much is that land? They want to take 8,000 square kilometers and replace it in a village, not Msomera. And then the district is 4 times less than Ngorongoro Conservation Area. Then they are not giving them Andeni, they are giving them a village with 7,000 people already, some of whom I have met as a lawyer. They have court judgments and now they have lost it. Okay? And then they say, so we are really suffering. The people from Ngorongoro, Msomera, Loliondo, then propaganda within it, which is, and sadly, I think, Ambassador is accusing Special Rapporteur that he is not coming because there is no evidence. I think you should leave that to the Special Rapporteur to say why he's not coming, because we have our own reasons, we thinking why the Special Rapporteur has not come on 16 December. There was a plan, it was aborted. And we think it is for some reasons, not about evidence. It's about independence, which you call anyone coming to be independent and to meet our people on the grounds in their southerns.
Merci de ces précisions. Écoutez, je trouve que c'est intéressant pour nous parce que tant qu'on n'est pas allé sur les lieux, on a vraiment les 2 versions. Mon collègue Malte, vous avez posé une question au sujet de...
Il y en a un qui veut
qui veut dire quelque chose. Yeah, okay. Well, you can answer. Okay.
Ashera tenakata pee kitum ena rishata nikinjibunyie swali oikilikuanai otejo orbalosi. Ore entoki natudumua
No, not for you. No, not for him.
ore entoki naishoo mairoro naa etejo oltung'ani kelala enkop. Nejo ekira iltung'anak oing'ua aikop. Ore entoki edukuya naa keji sirinket naa enkarna ormaasai eeta keneng'ole. Keji oldoinyio lenkai naa enkarna ormaasai eeta keng'ole enotoki. Ore Ngorongoro naa iltung'anak ooji Ngorongoro irmaasai enkarna ormaasai eeta. Ore Loliondo naa kibelekenyaki amu keji enkarna orgosorok naa enkarna ormaasai eeta. Neeku eng'as aaku enoonkakui inakop enoonkakui mikiyiolo ninye yiok meetai karne tenakata nayiolo ajo kanu iterutua irmaasai aaponu inaalo. Etejoki sii enkae ore inkoitoi oong'uesi naa ekigira aiwuang'ie pee eisho ing'uesi. Naliki ajoki mesipa. Amu ore paatejo mesipa, ore orkijiji laing'ua lolosokwan, ore neiki ng'uesi nekiyiolo nikintenga metaa nikipik ilashumba mpaka nikipik erripoto oltung'anak lang likintaituo likilak oopeny pee minyala mazingira. Neeku kitipika tooncheriani esirkali kake ore elekekun pee eponu aoru yiok negil nena sheriani nitu ishirikisha. Ore entoki nasuju ina kiroroto naa ena doi nainosa eji inosa iltung'anak okuni ilowuarak. Kejokini dii kulo tung'anak lenakop empung'o tenkop inyi amu etara iltung'anak okuni iltukutuki eneetara ngarrin. Atolimuo naaji ajo kerita yiok enaa entipat. Etolimutuo ate. Etolimuo orbalosi openy ajo ekiarita enaa entipat amu kejito etaa kumok irmaasai. Amaa naaji enikitaa kumok eng'ae naing'uraki yiok erishata eme sirkali ang naing'orr yiok ajo ore amu etaa kumok kulo tung'anak manyaki aisho enkop nalala amu kitoorutuo apa sirinket keoruni yiok pii metaa ekitoni ake. Ore nche yiok kira irmaasai naa kijito megirai aoru yiok enkop enaa tenkaraki peiki ng'uesi. Kegirai aoru yiok enkop enaa peishori olang'oroni eneishori irkarsisi peoruni yiok. ore enkae toki nikiyieunye nikishukokino ina kop amu etejo nai orbalosi keyieu neshukokino ina kop ekigira ashukokino amu ekitaa kumok neeku meishaa yiok ewueji nikitipika naa kemutaki yiok imali nikiata. Nekira laitang'olaki nikirorie amu tenikinoto ng'ole enkoitoi nikirorie entomononi eera isang naa ekipuo ng'olaki enkomono pee mironyi yiok amu ore pee kigira aing'ua ina kop najo nche kisiu ekijo pee mikiaomonisho ajo nchoo yiok endaa kila enkolong amu endaa ang kigira aing'orie. Neeku kajo nanu ashe inewueji itabaiki inewueji natolimu. Kake amaa teneeku duo ketalala enkop nikioruni ore isasi likioru enaa kioru enkutuk tenikilotu airorie oltung'ani mpaka niking'ori tua ning'ua nkiyioitin inonok nikiarare metaa ira oloontimi naa keeku entoki nasipa naitaasita yiok Tanzania. Manya nakara ormusungui naa kaewuo amany ine naa kaarari tentiol enaa kaishori mbarakinot nalotie. Neeku ore entoki nayawua yiok eitu ishir tina amu eitu ishori yiok ushirikiano meetai. Neeku egira aomonu esipata ninye oltung'ani menoto enkaji ormaasani esipata oltung'ani. Netumaki nairorie sininye peelimu esipata enye te Tanzania amu meekure kinteru airoro. Ore tenakata ekiureshi ajo tenikipuo eeta enyamali nikipuo atum tenkaraki ironyita yiok Tanzania. Neeku ore enajoki orbalosi lang menare kietuo aing'oru kake kietuo aing'oru enikishindiraki amu kitala. Nekira sii yiok inkera inonok enaa nirripito onkulie tipati. Mikigira aitenga nkulie kabilaritin ajo kanyoo peetii nimikigira aitenga kulikae tung'anak ajo kanyoo peetii kake kanyoo piitengai nche yiok ajo kenchom entununuata eneenchom tina kop amirara lina kop. Ashe taa.
This. Yeah, in response.
Ajo iro neton ake agilita ajo ametejoki naaji ake kearita yiok enaa entipat. Ore te Tanzania misima yiok iltung'anak oitu orkitibai irmaasai. Atoning'o peejo orbalosi atoning'o peejo orbalosi kitaa kumok ore peeritai yiok peegira aidurrie yiok aing'oru enepiki ake kitaa kumok. Amaa apa peeponu sirkali aponu aapik yiok imbarakinot nikitii tenakata naa ninche naarripito yiok kiko apa yiok idadi ai hoi ajo entoiwuo enebanji nipalepale enebanji. ama ngwesi nari na de rome age unit ri wala Maasai be wona ngwesi ne woi ama ga holla dia ullo ollo holan wongi shwa tene mwa ba ga wa ba imbara gnora de groi hoye ne banyi ne bale ne banji anara na nukili gwanda shida me nara na de ne malia mo mayol na ba da ga hoye na mpango ne baliana kama na yene serikali na oruene beire ngabebe ngulema sana iduria yene kiriwo inarana kerenge mangor be ya na ga alwa ba imbara gnora na olobe ngo mai basirgali na hibro kaga ibayene ne ore be bonu angor lo ngana woro ngore ngema ingi gweneri nago ag rasuela lenda na yorido ewu hisirgali anda ai hugul ngali kurunguru megena nigel dia inde kurunguru tene menga yana rama yele neri anara mayele neri yosena ori kurunguru irwara nan olmo sada na jana ara ikiara na atu murandi ni ode roi lore rogro shule amala lo murandi ni te wolor ngwana go yerwe do rabo musomera amalu ngwana go homera musomera wolor ngayegi ame ribi lor ngayegi ke gol do bo ya ribo irugo pebu ora lo ngwana go homa musomera sinawa me aga homara ambara ngona irugo sirgali belu migiru rango merum gishu ne dare ibongi rangi shu ro ini gi burogi be anyan ko dirni bunga ya ne bu ami rai rango nene era law du mo njule ini gi so meshingera erori wogi yosi bari marawre na baka ni senare rogro yoga ya usbari na jono lena jende ne mogure gi rumiro ami bende ka bana ya gi yoga jeni be mi grume ni ngita saru nyol tamo yo mo yondu ana hal ore lolo ngwana wa homera engiro nyana wa enginya le baiti be homera maga homera magaro rigiro ore ndogi na bona dege arbalosi lang ndogi na baye na dege arbalosi ore yogo tungana le korongoro megen basirikali ai gini ni sirikali amai kiure abarage kagirenga ande yo sirikali ene endebar irugo bonu ane abonu ar sirikali kai ge ruher mengoru nil rungana go bonu rumo yo sirikali ngo bang pe adali anagen ki yo na re nyamali anai sirikali ama karala na hiraya mo gure gi rumingi gwana ne gara me ne gero ne bai e ba yo sirikali nago ada he kage eni ni ngoyo na lenga mo e ba yo sirikali ne ndebar
Merci. Merci de votre intervention. Bon, on n'a plus beaucoup de temps, mais on a eu des questions en ligne parce que c'est suivi en ligne. Et en même temps, c'est une question qui était aussi posée par mon collègue. Je réitère sa question, c'était est-ce que le gouvernement tanzanien serait OK pour accepter une investigation indépendante par un rapporteur comme Monsieur De Schutter pour aller en Tanzanie et pouvoir poser des questions. Moi, je crois que, vous savez, j'ai eu le représentant de l'Union européenne en Tanzanie, il me posait la même question. Il dit, nous, tant qu'il n'y a pas un organisme indépendant qui va sur place, interroger, pouvoir se déplacer de façon indépendante et privée pour entendre ce que disent la population Maasai, voir les conditions du peuple Maasai, voir si, parce qu'il y a un doute sur le nombre de morts, le nombre de blessés, voyez les gens, quand ils sont à Somera, dans quelles conditions ils sont accueillis, enfin, etc. Voilà, ça c'est première question et c'est posé aussi là-dessus. Moi, ce que je voudrais dire, et deuxième question, puisque nous, on doit s'y rendre. Alors nous, ça va être des députés européens du groupe Vert qui voulons rencontrer bien sûr des leaders dans les différents endroits, visiter les réserves et voir les conditions, et puis rencontrer les autorités, vous rencontrer le gouvernement. Moi, voilà. Mais il faut qu'on soit indépendant aussi. Vous voyez, on ne peut pas aller avec une délégation du gouvernement tanzanien, parce que sinon les gens ne s'exprimeront pas. Nous, on a besoin d'être indépendants dans notre... mais de vous rencontrer sur place, tout à fait d'accord. Donc ça, c'est deuxième truc. Et troisième chose, parce qu'on les voit, on a un doute sur les 1500 km² qui sont gérés par un organisme qui serait géré par les Émirats arabes unis pour faire la chasse aux trophées. Et que là, c'est... Alors, vous faites ce que vous voulez, hein, c'est la souveraineté, mais est-ce que ça existe? Est-ce qu'il y a des moyens financiers importants quand le sultan de tel et tel pays va tirer le lion ou le léopard ou je sais pas quoi, et que là, effectivement, il ne faut aucun être humain. C'est-à-dire que là, les Maasai sont complètement expulsés de ces zones qui sont gérées par les Émirats arabes unis pour leur chasse privée. Parce que ça, je l'ai entendu sur place, hein, au niveau de l'Union européenne. Donc, je voudrais avoir votre avis là-dessus. Alors, vous me dites, ça n'existe pas, ça existe, etc. J'en sais rien. Et puis, il faudra qu'on voit sur place, mais ça, c'est avec vous qu'on verra ça. Comment le peuple Maasai qui grossit, c'est bien. Ça montre que bon, il y a une dynamique, surtout que il développe le pastoralisme. Le pastoralisme, c'est quand même un mode le plus adapté par rapport au réchauffement climatique, par rapport, vous voyez, c'est alors est-ce que il faut pas étendre leurs terres telles qu'ils le demandent? Vous voyez, ça, c'est des questions qu'on doit poser. Il faut quand même se poser la question, qu'est-ce qu'on privilégie dans son pays? Est-ce qu'on privilégie les populations autochtones, même si on le met entre guillemets, ou est-ce qu'on privilégie les touristes de l'Union européenne qui veulent voir la faune sauvage? Vous voyez, c'est des questions qu'on se pose, quoi. Voilà, je vous donne la parole parce que après, je ferai la conclusion en 3 minutes. Allez-y.
Thank you, Madam Rivasi. And I hope you will be fair also enough to me to give me enough time to respond to these issues and questions, and also the issue that have been raised. As you have given more than 1 hour for the representative of Maasai, you will also give us some enough time. But I want to just to say things very quickly. One, on the issue that Mr. Joseph said that African Union is defining the issue of indigenous and is qualifying the Maasai. I want to assure him that we are not subscribing to the African Commission concept of the indigenous people, because that concept has no definition. It just gives the attributes. And one of the attributes that they are using, that particular tribe has to be attached, has to be tied by the land. And when we consider in Tanzania, all tribes are tied by the land. So we consider ourselves as all indigenous. No Maasai, no anyone. We are all indigenous and we are all native. That is one. I've mentioned about the issue of the lion who had been fitted with a ring. That was just a small example of a single incidences on a single day. It doesn't take the all. In fact, in 1915 alone, the number of people, Maasai people, who were killed by wild animals were 49. And 170 were seriously, badly injured. In just 2015, more than 842 livestock were killed by different wild animals. So it's not just a single case, several cases. Talking about the issue of the invitation, I want to assure you that we are very transparent, we are very open, and I think Mr. Joseph said about that something is hindering the special rapporteur to come because think they're not, maybe it's not independent. It's not. In fact, as I'm speaking, the special rapporteur from the UN has already indicated coming to Tanzania in August 2024. And they said they could not come just because of their budget constraint in their office and nothing else. So don't take these things in a different context. Madam Chair, I would like you to give me a few minutes to allow Mr. Professor here, who is working with the National Commission for UNESCO, to give some few additional information about the issues raised about the Dubai royal family, about the connection, because I've seen in the discussions they've been connecting Kenya and they're saying they are going to Kenya because Kenya is helping. He can also tell you the connection between Maasai, Tanzania, and Kenya. Please.
Thank you very much, Madam President Rivas and the Excellency delegates. I would like to take the floor briefly, first of all, to convey the government of the United Republic of Tanzania a strong objection to most of the untruths and factual errors which have been presented by the Maasai delegation. I will start with the claim on the OBC hunting company. Madam President, it is a matter of fact that the claimed hunting block was established by the German administration between 1885 to 1919, and then it was maintained by the British government and then by Tanzania after independence. The 1,500 square kilometers of the Loliondo game-controlled area, which have been used for conservation, tourism, and other purposes since 1990. And from that time, 4 investors have been lawfully operating in the area through a public and transparent process. In 1992, the government of Tanzania issued a tender to utilize that area, which is also designated as a hunting block. Many companies submitted bids, and Otalo Business Corporation from the United Arab Emirates won the tender. But in the same area, apart from the OBC, there are other 3 companies within the same area which have invested. Now, it is intriguing to learn that the Maasai are only mentioning one company while there are 4. I think it is your assignment to find further reasons why they are just mentioning one company and not all of them. Another issue, Madam Chairman, I wanted to quickly respond. The Maasai have indicated that the government is paralyzing them economically by cutting down the budget. The truth of the matter is, as the residents of Ngorongoro are registering and relocating to Msomera village in the Handen, automatically the per capita investment by the government is gradually declining proportional to the number of residents which are moving out from the area. There is no logical reasons to maintain the same budget while the number of people are decreasing in the conservation area. That is the reason which we need also when you'll be coming on the ground to verify, you'll be able even to see the numbers. Another issue, Madam President, which I wanted to quickly respond, it is on the issue of the conservation. The Maasai are claiming that they are traditional and they are conserving even wild animals. Maasai have through years changed and they have moved from the traditional way of life. They are now constructing permanent houses in the park. They are urbanizing the park. That is one of the challenges. The second challenge my colleague have indicated, and I wanted to bold on it. There is no harmonious coexistence between the Maasai pastoralists and wild animals. There is a lot of wildlife-human conflicts, which on a daily basis they are claiming a number of lives, and most of the lives which are lost are from young children and women. And from the human rights point of view, the government is considering to protect the vulnerables, and one of the approach is voluntary relocation from the dangerous place to a safer area in Msomera, in Handen district in Tanga. On the issue of the Maasai in Tanzania and Maasai in Kenya, there is also information which is used for various reasons, but we needed to put in records clear that previously, after the independence of Tanganyika, the tribe sect of the Maasai in Tanzania are the Kisonko. And also the Kenyan subtribes of the Maasai are different from the Tanzanian ones. In Kenya, you have the Puruk, the Loita, and the Latayok. But as we are speaking, in Loliondo, there is already a mixture of almost more than half-half between the Tanzanian and the Kenyan Maasai. Now, this is another immigration issue, which actually it is also a challenge we are putting on your table to advise the State Party, because wherever there is a drought in the Rift Valley, there is a lot of migration of pastoralists towards Tanzania. And we are receiving a lot of immigrants. And once they have stayed there, they started claiming that this is their ancestral land, this is their traditional land, and they have been there since time immemorial, while they keep on immigrating, and we have official records also to that effect. Madam Chair, the last point from my side, it is the issue of using force using gunshots to the Maasai pastoralists. I'm concerned because I'm also a forensic scientist. I can analyze images, I can distinguish between a gunshot wound and a wound aggravated by a blunt weapon or a blunt object. Looking at all of those images, if guns were used to those Maasai images which were shown here today, 100% I will tell you that those were toys, not guns. Because if a gun can afflict wounds in the head, at the back of the body, this person would have died. And I think those guns have never been invented on this planet. This is another issue. We are showing that there is untruth and misinformation which have been propagated by the Maasai pastoralists. Thank you, Madam.
Yes, can you just one quick.
I'll be as quick as just possible, one, Madam Rivers.
Just one quick.
Yes. First of all, thank you for the floor, but I would wish if you could visit Tanzania and then we could hold these discussions, because you would have seen what is on the ground. And also my government is wondering, we had the meeting with the EU ambassadors, and we believe that EU ambassadors work with the EU government and the parliament. Why are you not using the information? Because they are there in Tanzania, they are there in the ground, and we are involving them. Why should you not use these while you are preparing yourself to come to Tanzania? We are welcoming them, we are waiting you to come. Another point is that the Maasai are the only tribe in Tanzania which has given 2 prime ministers. There is no another tribe which has given 2 prime ministers in Tanzania, except the Maasai. How then is this possible that the same people who have the political rights and whatever are now being alienated? That cannot be understood. But the other thing which is very important, we are talking about human rights issues here. Are you aware that Tanzania is housing the African Court of Human Rights? How could we be given such an advantage if we are not keeping the human rights? I think we are supposed to think beyond the box. And the last thing is about the violations of the police. We have the clips of the current Prime Minister, Honorable Kassim Majaliwa, informing them as to why there were police force there. The police force were there to ensure security for those who were doing demarcations, and not otherwise. The clips here can be accessed through the what do you call through the website. They are there. So Madam Rivers, I could wish you come to visit, and we had some discussion with Francisco Kala, and they told us that he can only have 2 missions in a year. So there is nothing else which hindered him to come to Tanzania, but it is due to the timetable where he is allowed just to visit twice in a year. That's why we have arranged for him to come on August next year. Thank you for your act of kindness, and please, you are welcome to Tanzania.
So you could say, Madam Ravis, there is nothing we are hiding. I'm just taking this floor once again to thank you for this time, but I want also to reiterate that Tanzania is a sovereign country, and that this matter is a domestic issue. We are a democratic country. We are a country which adhere to the rules of law and the human rights, and we have been staying with the Maasais since independence, now more than 60 years. We have never come to the European Union to ask how to live with the Maasai's people and how to live with the different community in Tanzania. We are taking care of our people. It is a domestic issue. It is an internal issue. But as a friend, we are just discussing with you to share, because we understand that we are partners who understand each other. So we are ready to share with you, but it should not look like one partner is over the other partner. We are a mutual partner equally, but we respect each other. And you come, you have an issue, but we don't. You have to understand that this issue is entirely also a domestic issue that we are able to handle, and we have already solved it. People in Maasai, people in Msomera, they are very happy. In fact, these voices, maybe they know what they are getting, and maybe we don't. If you have anything to give them, give them. But the Maasai, the real Maasais, are happy, enjoying life, because the matter, their cases, is solved. And we have a big number of people demanding to evict from Ngorongoro to the Msomera. In fact, the government is now struggling to construct those houses. But life is going on very well. Thank you for the opportunity.
Allez, merci, Monsieur l'Ambassadeur. Non, je suis désolée, mais d'abord, parce qu'on a les interprètes, vous voyez, c'est vraiment, ils sont là, c'est super. Je les en remercie. D'abord, vous me parlez politique, je vais vous parler politique. Merci d'être là. Vous avez un très beau pays, il n'y a pas de souci, et on se respecte mutuellement. Le tout, c'est que lorsque on est mis en alerte par le peuple Maasai, que ce soit au Kenya, que ce soit en Tanzanie ou ailleurs, moi je suis interpellée par énormément de peuples autochtones qui sont, par exemple en Amazonie, carrément contaminés par les pesticides qui sont envoyés, tués par des gens qui font des mines d'or illégales, etc. Donc on intervient par rapport aux droits humains. Donc, personne n'est en accusation, il y a des alertes, il y a des demandes. Donc, nous, ce qu'on fait au Parlement européen, et vous voyez que la discussion est très ouverte ici au Parlement européen, on invite toutes les parties prenantes. Et je vous remercie pour l'invitation, on va s'y rendre, on va discuter avec les gens, on va rencontrer la délégation de l'Union européenne que j'ai eue en visio. Donc, moi, je me suis renseignée sur beaucoup de choses. Et eux aussi, ils se posent des questions. Vous voyez, c'est plutôt, est-ce que tout ce qu'on dit, c'est vrai? On a besoin de vous. Et peut-être que, d'ailleurs, certains membres de l'Union européenne vont nous accompagner. Vous voyez, donc, tout est ouvert. Là, j'ai entendu que vous acceptiez qu'il y ait, s'il y a quelqu'un de rapporteur spécial de l'ONU, vous seriez prêt à l'accueillir, très bien. Vous avez une grande ouverture. Nous aussi, au niveau du Parlement, on demande qu'il y ait une information la plus complète possible. Vous voyez, qu'il y ait ces consultations libres, préalables, éclairées quand on décide. Parce que je pense qu'il y a eu... Alors, je vous le dirai suite à la mission. C'est trop tôt à l'heure actuelle. Mais peut-être souvent, on manque de consultation avec les populations concernées. Et là, je l'ai entendu ça tout à l'heure. Vous voyez, les gens, ils veulent savoir pourquoi on fait ça. Est-ce que c'est une concurrence, et ça, il faudra qu'on le voit aussi, entre des agences de tourisme qui veulent faire venir les gens, vous voyez, parce que vous avez des sites remarquables, magnifiques, mais à un moment, peut-être qu'il y a une concurrence. Et que c'est... Vous savez, la vie, c'est des compromis perpétuels. Et donc, peut-être que là, ça a été mal expliqué et que peut-être il faut qu'ils aient des terres plus grandes pour gérer. Mais moi, j'ai vu les Maasai qui savent très bien gérer leur élevage et la faune sauvage. Et souvent, ils font vraiment, très séparé. Et en plus, peut-être qu'il va falloir former des jeunes Maasai pour qu'ils soient des guides, vous voyez, et qui participent aux visites pour faire connaître la faune sauvage. Vous voyez, il y a des solutions. Donc, on va essayer de voir comment on peut améliorer ça. Et en même temps, on voulait essayer de faire un peu une motion d'urgence. Alors, on va en discuter avec tous les groupes politiques. Vous voyez, par rapport à la situation de la Tanzanie, qu'on retrouve d'ailleurs aussi dans d'autres pays. Voilà un peu ce que on voulait proposer. Et s'il faut une aide humanitaire, mais ça sera en discussion avec votre gouvernement, parce que s'ils n'ont plus de services publics, vous voyez, vous parlez de services sociaux, mais moi, s'il n'y a plus d'école, alors déjà que c'est un peuple nomade, hein, s'il n'y a plus d'école, il n'y a plus d'hôpitaux, parce qu'il y a beaucoup d'hôpitaux qui ont fermé, et s'il n'y a pas les services sociaux, alors déjà qu'ils vivent dans une certaine pauvreté, alors ça va être pire. Donc voilà, écoutez, on va aller se rendre sur place, on va voir la situation. Moi, j'ai été attentive à ce que vous avez dit. Monsieur de Schutter aussi. Eh bien, je pense qu'on va trouver, franchement, on doit trouver des compromis pour que tout le monde se sente heureux. Parce que l'avenir, c'est quand même que le peuple Maasai puisse continuer ses traditions, son pastoralisme, que vous puissiez bénéficier, parce que vous avez un attrait touristique extraordinaire, et il faut trouver un juste milieu entre tout ça. Et je pense que on a la possibilité de le faire, tout en restant souverain, respectueux, etc., etc. Parce que le fait d'être venu ici, je vous remercie, parce que je trouve que c'est important qu'il y ait eu ce dialogue. Pour moi, ça a été un dialogue constructif. Et nous, on a besoin de s'informer. Et vous savez, pour s'informer, il faut qu'on aille sur place, il faut qu'on aille rencontrer les gens. Hein, et puis, il faut qu'on fait la part des choses. Hein. On n'est pas des naïfs. Hein, et puis, on trouvera une solution. Voilà. En tout cas, merci. Ah oui, alors, on me dit que on aurait aimé vous faire participer pour tous les gens qui ont posé des questions, mais il y a eu un problème technique. Voilà. En tout cas, merci à tous les intervenants. Merci à tous les assistants. Merci. Oui. Alors, allez-y, vous avez le dernier mot puisque vous êtes venus de loin. Allez-y. Et on va clôturer avec les remerciements de tout le monde. Allez. Oui.
Tunashukuru watu wetu ambao wanaongea kwa ujumla. Lakini sisi tunaomba hapa usalama wetu kwa ajili ya kiruduo na kirua kairo pekibonwa usalama amiki yewu ala rabala serikali na kwekigira omuntu abe kitu usalama. Naikila kajo ki serikali ang Tanzania malarabal ki itu ngoru mera mikimpanik iltung'anak pookin amu sulu kigira aing'oru pee merogony iyiok amu kituata erogonyitai. Ore dipi ponunu na nyala nemerorona ajokini tapala papai lino amu nyala. Ore pee eruo metaa serikali neinyala nejokini sininche pee epal iyiok amu egira nkera enye.
Yes, Madam Rivers, I want to assure all Tanzanians that no one's security is jeopardized. We are all Tanzanians, and Tanzania is so unique. You see, the word is a place in Tanzania as a peaceful state because we are tolerant to each other. We can speak, and these people, they are speaking through their members of parliament. They are speaking, and the government is listening. So we are a government which listens. We are a government which loves our people. And in no way, no any point, we can put our own people whom we've been taking care of for more than 60 years, just because they've come to Brussels. And I want to assure you, we have a number of some documents we are going to share with you. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity.
D'accord. En tout cas, écoutez, quand on va en Tanzanie, on va vous retrouver. Et pour moi, vraiment merci d'être venu, parce que vous avez pris un risque, d'abord un risque lié au voyage, etc. Et je fais confiance en l'ambassadeur pour que, vous voyez, il n'y ait pas d'effets secondaires, d'effets collatéraux. En tout cas, je vous promets qu'on ira vous voir quand on ira en Tanzanie. Et on ne touche pas aux activistes. Merci.